Greetings, friends and fellow aliens, and thank you for tuning into this video. Okay, I need to introduce myself. My name's David Batterina. I am a speculative fiction author. I enjoy supernatural stuff. I enjoy science fiction-y stuff, though I tend to write science fiction with humor because that's just what I like. And just kind of got into writing some horror too, which I really enjoy. Now, I've been on YouTube for about 4 years. So hello to the YouTube audience. I got about 18,000 subscribers on there. However, I am posting this video as part of an experiment for Twitter and Rumble, as well as my YouTube channel, because what I'd like to do is compare the metrics on views and interactions from this video on those 3 different platforms. Listen, if you are a self-published author or an indie author, you know what it's like. You're trying to promote yourself, you're trying to get yourself out there, connect with the community, and get your words in front of people. And I'm thinking to myself, what's the best way to actually do that? Because YouTube's algorithm is kind of trash, and it's very difficult to get that reach. Now, granted, I haven't posted there in a little while, or not regularly, so that does have an effect. But I thought, let's go ahead and basically upload this video separately to those 3 different platforms and see what it's like. So congratulations, you're a guinea pig just like me and part of this experiment. I'm going to post a follow-up video in about 3 days. So that'll be Monday, the whatever it is, right? 9, 10, 11, Monday the 12th. And just let you know what the results are. So follow me on here and let's see just kind of what that's like if you're interested, because I think it might help to just have some not really scientific, but a basic idea of what interactions and what views are like across these 3 different platforms. So like I said, I've got about 18K on YouTube, though that's not how many YouTube shows my video to, and about 200 people that I think I connect with on Twitter, and absolutely 0 on Rumble. So we'll see how that goes. This will actually be my first video posted on that platform. I also don't just want this to be a bland experiment video. I want to talk about writing, and in particular, writing the first line of your story or your book or whatever. And I want to break down the first line of my debut novel as an example and sort of go over why it's a really good first line and why it works to draw a reader into the book. Now, I'm not just sitting here and saying my first line is great with absolutely nothing to back that up. I am told, and it's in a lot of my reviews, that had me hooked from the first line is something that I commonly hear, and I've heard over and over and over again. Now, in 2 weeks, I'm going to LibertyCon in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I'll be there as one of the pros at LibertyCon, doing a reading of my work, some time at the author table, doing some signings and stuff like that, and be sitting on a panel all about monster archetypes, which I'm very excited about. So it's a great, if you're able to get to Tennessee for LibertyCon at any point. It is not a huge convention, but it is so great. Largely science fiction, fantasy based and things like that. And being that I'm pretty much urban fantasy, at least for the book, right up my alley, right in the wheelhouse. Look, when you're a self-published author, you need to have some things to give away and stuff like that. So, you know, especially if you're doing like signings at a bookstore or whatever, one of the recommendations that I got was bookmarks. I've got those this year. I know it looks weird, but this is a bookmark actually from the second book with some stuff on the back, just like some of the reviews and whatnot, and QR code for the book. These are really cool to hand out. I printed up way too many of them. Also got my business cards redesigned. Boom. So we've got those with all the links to all the socials, QR code for the book. You need to be doing those things, people, I'm telling you. And I have some of my books, obviously, I'm going to bring, and also these, right? This is just the first chapter of the book. And I got these printed up on, I think, Vistaprint, and they were about $4 a pop. So this isn't something that I just kind of walk around and hand out to anybody. These were specifically for people that are within the industry, fellow authors that I really wanted to connect with, and things like that. I'd give them the first chapter and say basically, hey, here it is, here's my work, let me know what you think, and so on and so forth. So when I was at LibertyCon last year, I met a gentleman who was, he owns his own publishing company. Now, not in my genre, right? So there was nothing there to connect us in any way of like, oh, maybe I could talk to this guy and have him publish my book. He was mostly like historical military fiction and things like that. I don't do that. But I was really curious because I'm like, look, you've published 100 books yourself. You run a publishing company. Have a look at this and tell me what you think, right? So he takes it out, he opens it up, and he looks at the first line of the book. And he closes it, and he looks at me and he says, that's a great first line. And I'm like, score, right? This is what every author wants, is to have somebody that is just a ton of experience, is in the industry, to look at a line of your work and say, hot damn, that's good stuff, right? And so I'm like, okay. And at that point, I'm feeling all right. I'm like, okay, I nailed it. Now, the first line of The Caretaker, man, let me tell you, I wrote and rewrote that line dozens of times to try and get it just right. For the pace of the story and everything else. So the story is in first person, past tense, and I needed it first person because I needed that up close, really visceral feeling. There's some gory moments, there's some uncomfortable moments, and the purpose of the story is to see it through the main character's eyes. The main character's name is William St. Denis. And so I'm going to read you the first line, and then I want to break it down and just kind of explain what my thought process was in crafting it, and hopefully give you some ideas and some things that you might be able to do, try and apply if you need to jazz up that first line a little bit, or if you're just looking for that extra kick, really if it's a first line of a chapter or something else, to snag the reader's attention and just yank them into the story right away, right? So my first line, I'll try and post it like up here or something, or maybe down there. I don't know. My first line, with a little luck, I'd be dead in exactly 23 minutes. It's only 12 words, right? And the reason that this first line works the way it does is because of the questions that it poses to the reader, either consciously or subconsciously. So the first one, and I want to break down what those questions are. The first one, why do you need luck? Right? With a little luck. It's the first 4 words. Why? And so that immediately says, okay, well, what setback happened recently that now you need to luck out a little bit to accomplish something? Right? So there's the first question that pops into a reader's head. The second question, why do you need to be dead? Now, obviously, that's a major one, right? And the reason this line works is because you don't normally think of yourself being lucky to be dead, right? I mean, sure, some of us, me too, right? I had my time I had my goth phase in high school. Okay, so there's that. But why do you need to be dead? Second question. The third question, what happens in 23 minutes? It's a very specific number, and I chose that number for multiple reasons. Some of them just personal, and some of them because of the story. But 23, it could have worked as 22, it could have worked as 24, but I chose that 23 specifically. And what is going to happen? So the next one is, why the word exactly? Now listen, I'm somebody that annihilates adverbs in my work, unless they're in dialogue. And so for me to use one, it's got to be precise, right? I need to have that word there for a very specific reason. Without the word exactly there, I'm eliminating one question from these 12 words. So those are the 4 questions, right? Why do you need luck? And what setback basically happened that you need to be lucky? Why do you need to be dead? What happens in 23 minutes? And why the precision? Why the precision? Why exactly 23 minutes? And the implication is, what's going to happen if it's 24? So in 12 words, I'm shoving 4 questions into the reader's head. And those 4 questions pique curiosity. And that's what gets a reader to keep reading on the work. Now, by looking at those and thinking of those 4 questions, well, one of them is going to get answered very quickly, right? Which is exactly 23 minutes. Really, 2 of those questions answered very quickly. Because you can't, look, my book this is 85,000 words. I can't write 85,000 words covering 23 minutes unless there's temporal distortion and all that nonsense. I'm not getting into that. So immediately that something's going to be happening here. First of all, why do you need to be dead? The book is 80-something thousand words. Obviously, if you're dead in the first chapter, and I do kill the main character in the first chapter, but how does that work, right? So that's part of the world building, and that's part of opening that entire story up. And but you know that at least something is going to get answered right away. So you read on a little bit, and your curiosity is sated to some degree. And then later on, really that first question is why do you need luck right now? All the questions, but that first one in particular, that doesn't get answered until way later in the novel. So I'm dripping out all of those answers basically to the reader as we go, and posing more questions along the way. And that's how you draw that reader in, and how you get them to keep turning those pages. Something, if I look at my reviews and things like that on Goodreads or Amazon, that I see a lot was that people picked up the book and could not put it down until they were done. And I mean, look, it warms your heart as an author when somebody says something like that, and certainly does that to mine as well. So I'm not saying that I'm the be-all end-all of writing first lines of work, but this is something that I tend to do with every story that I write, whether it's short, whether it's a small thing or whatever, few paragraphs or 5,000 words or 80,000 words. But I always try to kick it off with as many questions in the most condensed amount of words as possible. And to me, that's the way I like to read. And that's what gets me interested and pulled in the story right away. And so that's how I want to pull fellow readers into the story. I'm an intuitive, and I write as an intuitive, and I feel like my writing appeals to other intuitives, people that always have that inner monologue and are always wondering and asking those questions. And so I want to appeal to that. And my writing style it does that because that's who I am anyway. So there you have it. I hope this helps in some way. Let me know in the comments or tweet replies or whatever they call it on Rumble. Let me know, what is your first line? Or do you have a line that you're trying to jazz up, that you're working on? Or is this something that you do? Or do you prefer the slow burn, opening a chapter up where somebody is doing something kind of mundane, like making a cup of coffee and putting the sugar in and so on and so forth. There's no right or wrong way. These are your words, and you express them the way you want to express them, and you will find the audience for those words, just as I found mine. And so I'm curious. I'm curious to know. Chime in below and let me know. And this experiment will move on. Like I said, in a couple days' time, I'm going to post another video and let loose with the results, and we'll see kind of where it lands. I'm curious as to where I should put my efforts in creating content, putting it out there. This is my way of testing it out. And hey, you can be the beneficiary too. If this works and you see, hey, this kind of works for this dude, maybe I should try the same thing, then that's good. Look, if you're a writer out there, whether you write something that I enjoy as a genre or whether it's something I hate as a genre, I don't care. I want you to have as much success as you could possibly have coming your way. Success is not zero sum when we're talking about authors and writers. There is no reason for us to compete with one another. And so I just want everybody to have a great time, pour their heart into it, and get their words out there, because the world needs to read your words. So thank you, everyone, for checking this out. And hey, I'll be circling around again in a few days' time with the results of this experiment and maybe some more stuff about writing and all those different things. Feel free, and please do, share this video if you'd like to share it. Follow me on whatever platform it is that you're watching this on, if you haven't already. Chime in and let me know what you think, and I will see you very, very soon.